All right, everyone ready? I feel like no one's ready.
Yep.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome, everyone. We will first take a moment of silence and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. At this time, I invite Andrew Manna from Church, Hiddle, and Antrim to come forward to administer the oath of office to re-elect board member Mike Steele and newly elect board member Carrie Larson.
All right, I'll have board members come up front. I'll have you come over here. On behalf of our Church, Hiddle, and Antrim team, it's an honor to represent the school. As a part of reorganization, we have 2 elected board members, and I'm gonna grab the oath from behind you, and you have your sheet. If you're ready, I'll have you raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Mike Steele,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the State of Indiana.
and the State of Indiana.
I will faithfully execute the duties of my office
I will faithfully execute the duties of my office
as a member of this governing body,
as a member of this governing body,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
All right. Every school board must elect a president, vice president, and secretary as part of the annual board organizational process every January. The board met in a work session last month to determine this year's slate of officers, which is as follows. President, Mike Steele. Vice President, Rebecca Ogle. Secretary, Bill Anderson. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the nomination of the Board of School Trustees President, Vice President, and Secretary as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the nomination of the school board trustee President, Vice President, and Secretary. Is there any discussion or any questions? All right, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. At this time, I will hand the meeting over to our new elected president, Mike Steele.
Thank you, Amber. As another requirement, is to turn on my mic, if I remember. Another requirement of the annual board of reorganization process is the appointment of treasurer of the board and the school corporation. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve Marcia Bohannon as corporate treasurer and Karen Cross as deputy treasurer.
So moved.
I have one. So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded and approved that Marcia, as a corporation treasurer and Karen as deputy treasurer. Is there discussion, or does anybody have any questions? All right. No further discussions. Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The motion has passed. And next on the item of the agenda is to approve the board minutes and the tentative work session dates from January 2020, or from 25th to December 2025. These are going to be posted on the website. Each January, the board approves the calendar of the regular board meeting and the work session dates on the proposed 2025 board meeting calendar. Regular board meetings are scheduled on the second Tuesday of every month, with the exception of April and July. Work sessions are scheduled prior to each regular board meeting and also on the fourth Tuesday of the month, with the exception of December due to winter break. Work sessions are open to the public and can be canceled if not needed. Executive sessions are scheduled as needed and are not open to the public. Westfield Washington Schools provide the times in the Hamilton County Report, the Reporter, and public notices of all meetings. They can choose to publish or not. Meeting dates are published on the WWS district website, on the district's board docs site, and on the door of the administration building at least 48 hours in advance. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the board meetings and tentative work session dates for 2025 as presented.
So moved.
I have Bill, thank you.
Second.
Second, Rebecca. It has been moved and second and approved the board meetings and tentative work session dates for 2025. Anybody have any questions or discussions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion has passed. Next on the board reorganization agenda is approval of all the board committee appointments. The board determined who would serve on each committee at our work session last month. The Ag Science Committee is a new addition this year. The list of committee assignments is displayed on the screens behind us and beside us, and also will be posted on the board docs page. At this time, I will entertain any motion to approve all board committee appointees as presented.
So moved.
I have one yay, or so moved, sorry.
Second.
Do I have a second? Thank you. It has been moved and second to approve the board committee appointments as presented. Is there any other discussions or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion is passed. The next item on the agenda is approve the resolution 2025-1, compensation of the board members. Resolution 2025-1 outlines specific per diem pay rates as allowed by Indiana school law and rules. Church and Hill and Antrim drafted the resolution that has become part of our annual reorganization meeting. Board members may receive up to $2,000 per year for their service plus per diem per code 2026-7. Per diem rates for attendance at school board meetings, the maximum rate of 2025 continue to be $150 per regular meeting, which are those meetings established by the board resolution, and $75 for other meetings such as special meetings, executive sessions, and committee meetings. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2025-1, the compensation for board members as presented.
So moved.
We have one so moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. It has been moved and second to approve Resolution 2025-1 for all board members. Is there any discussion or any questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The motion is passed. The next item and final item on the board reorganization agenda is from the board school trustee norms. The board norms were built through consensus to determine best board practices and serve as principles that guide behaviors and board relationships. The norms will be posted on the board docs page, anyone interested in reading them, or a good night story. At this time, I will entertain the motion to affirm the Westfield Washington School Boards of Trustees norms as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and second to affirm the Westfield Washington School Board norms. Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Next, something that we always look forward to, and that's all the kids that we have out in front of us and our students at Westfield Washington Schools. It is now time for something that we look forward to, celebrating our Student of the Month. A few notes before we begin. David Dixon, thank you very much. We'll be taking professional pictures of each student as they receive their award. After all the students have been recognized, we'll take a brief intermission. During this time, Students of the Month and their families are invited to enjoy refreshments in the lobby and have another picture taken out there. Mr. Dixon will also be available for all the families and the school representatives. We will now begin with the Virginia F. Wood Early Learning Center Student of the Month. Thank you. She's a little shy. Sometimes they get that way.
Hi there, I'm Kaylee Dickin, and I'm Assistant Director at the Early Learning Center. And today we're honoring Eloise Holtman, and she is a great student. She's feeling a little shy today, but she's in Mr. Johnson's All Aboard classroom, and I've known Eloise for quite a while. And she is great at cooperation, and she's a super sweet kiddo. I'm going to let Mr. Johnson share just a little bit about her.
Eloise is a fantastic little girl who's friends with everyone. She's compassionate and caring, and she's always willing to help. She works really hard and almost always has a smile on her face, except for right now. She's also a kiddo that can always be counted on to do the right thing, even when nobody's watching. She treats everyone with kindness, and she's always around to lend a hand when somebody needs help.
So thank you for joining with us to celebrate Eloise Holtman, our Student of the Month at the Early Learning Center.
Awesome. Next up, Oak Trace.
Good evening. My name is Jane Hitch. I'm the proud principal of Oak Trace Elementary, and I really like to introduce you to this sweet girl, Julia Yeju Saw, and her teachers, Mrs. Dankman and Mrs. Ewan. And Julia came to us this year for the first time 3 weeks before school started. They moved here from Korea. So she has been very busy learning English, and she's doing such an incredible job. Some of your teachers wanted to say some great things about you. Mrs. Williams, who couldn't be here tonight, is our multilingual teacher, and she shared about what a joy Julia is to teach. She's kind to everyone that she meets. She always maintains a positive attitude, and she's shown tremendous growth this year, especially learning English, and she's making progress in reading and writing, and she's inspiring to everybody else. So we're really proud. Mrs. Williams says this is a direct result of your hard work and determination. You're responsible, you have a caring nature, and a strong work ethic. Isn't that amazing? Mrs. Dankman works with her in math and talked about how she's honored to work with her, and she's hardworking. She gives her personal best and participates in each activity and just has a positive attitude. What more could you want than that positive attitude? Look at that smile from her. Mrs. Ewan, who is her third grade teacher, talks about how she said she walked into a room in August after being in a new country for only 3 weeks. She had confidence and she was excited. She's one of the hardest workers she's ever had the pleasure to teach, and she perseveres and always tries her best. She's a positive role model who demonstrates how to treat people right and do the right thing. Mr. Gibbs is her STEM teacher and talks about how hard she works. He said, "You're kind, curious, creative, and a wonderful artist." I don't have any artwork from you. I'm going to have to get some. Can you give her a warm round of applause for Julia?
Thank you. Next up, Washington Woods.
I'm Candace Hans, and I am the assistant principal at Washington Woods. And today, I just found out we are going to be honoring the third Beata kid as a student of the month. Is that correct? Yes. Sister was here with the Early Learning Center, and brother has been here as well, correct? Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. So, Levi, you are here today because you got caught modeling Habit 8. So, as a Leader in Me school, we recognize students each month for modeling the habits of happy kids. Habit 8 is Find Your Voice. People who found their voice focus on expanding their circle of influence, being trustworthy, building trust, and creating a common vision through acts of kindness. And your teacher, Mrs. Cundiff, is the one who nominated you, so she's going to say a little bit about you as well.
Well, there's a lot I could say about this young man right here, and I had to narrow it down. Focusing on Habit 8, Levi's done an outstanding job demonstrating this, not only in our classroom, but at Washington Woods. Whether group discussions, class projects, or just informal conversations, he speaks up thoughtfully and confidently, ensuring that his voice is heard. He's not afraid to express his ideas and can justify his rationale and thinking in the most respectful manner. He also listens attentively and offers encouragement and gives feedback to his peers in our classroom. And there's been many occasions in which I've observed him assisting other students in a very kind and genuine way. And he's also known to be an advocate for his peers, and he stands up for other students when he feels that something has been unfair or unjust. His kindness and support towards his classmates is what makes me the most proud of him as his teacher. And Levi's parents wanted to share. We are so proud of Levi. He has consistently shown responsibility across all of his elementary school years. He loves his family fiercely and has such a caring heart towards others. When we need something accomplished at home, we know we can give the responsibility to Levi and that he will complete it. We can't wait to watch him continue to grow into the young man God designed him to be.
So, Levi, I have two of my own personal kids here. I'm hoping they were listening to that, right? Because that was good stuff, right? So, Mrs. Zach and I were chatting about you before I got to come here tonight, and she shared a story with me that when you were in third grade, and I heard about this year, but I didn't hear about third grade. When you were in third grade, you realized that over the holidays, not everybody has the opportunity to maybe get gifts, right? You wanted to make sure everybody got something special for the holidays. So he took a poll and got his classmates' favorite colors and bought with his own money that he earned through doing chores a Hot Wheels car and hand-wrapped them for each classmate, so each classmate had something special hand-picked for them. And then this year as a fourth grader, my understanding is, well, I got to see it. There was a kindergarten classroom, and we have morning greeters. He greets students in the morning to make sure everyone gets a warm greeting in the morning. We have a kindergarten classroom, Mr. Williamson's class. He said the students were always very kind in greeting him back, and just developed a special bond with many of them. So he did the same thing and gave back to a kindergarten class this year, and each of them got a Hot Wheel in their favorite color, hand-picked by you, yeah, and hand-wrapped by you. So pretty cool, buddy. We're very happy to honor you.
Next up, Cary Ridge.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tiffany Buzan, and I am the assistant principal at Cary Ridge. And I am so excited to introduce you all to our student of the month, Lainey Wright. So I want to start with Mrs. Coverdale, our STEM teacher. When she heard that Lainey was our student of the month, she gave out a loud woo-hoo for your can-do attitude. But she wanted everyone to know that you are so considerate, hardworking, willing to work with every single person in the class, will join anyone if they need a partner. Lainey will be right there to do that. Mrs. Green is Lainey's teacher, and she wanted to share that you are absolutely amazing. You were chosen for displaying honesty in the classroom, but you truly display all the lifelines at Cary Ridge. You work hard, you do your best. When work is tough, you show perseverance to learn strategies and solve problems, and you always come to school with a smile, and you are kind to everyone. Mrs. Gorman also shared that one thing that stood out about Lainey is her kindness. Her kindness to everyone, those that she was friends with and those that were new to the class. She could always count on Lainey to be kind to everyone. And on behalf of Mr. Hilton and myself, we just want you to know that since you have come to Cary Ridge, you have stood out as a star student. You are kind, responsible, and overall just a really great kid, and we are so proud of you. Congratulations.
Next up, Maple Glen.
Good evening. I am Mary Beth Fisher. I'm the principal here, well, not here, but at Maple Glen. And I have here Mr. Everett Wagner, and he is a first grader. And the teacher that nominated him for our Student of the Month, Mrs. McClellan, our STEM teacher, couldn't be here. But when we put it in the school newsletter for our staff that Everett was our Student of the Month, people just came out of the woodworks and wanted to join us because they were so excited that Everett is our Student of the Month at Maple Glen. And when Mrs. McClellan sent in your name for the nomination, I couldn't have agreed more. And I don't get to nominate kids. I have to wait for other people to recognize greatness. And I was just so excited because what a lot of you might not know is that last year in kindergarten, sometimes we had to go pick Everett up out of the car, or mom would help us get you into the building. And once we got him to class, he was a rock star. But now he walks in the building all by himself. He actually has to go all the way across the building. And if you acknowledge or say good morning to him, he says good morning right back, don't you, buddy? And so we are just super proud of his growth from kindergarten to first grade, and Mrs. McClellan wanted us to share that he has grown so much this year. He engages so well in STEM class, willingly offering his ideas and thoughts in group settings. He has broadened his skill in teamwork too. Everett initiates communication and demonstrates flexible thinking. The entire Related Arts team and all the people up here is seeing this amazing growth across the board, and we feel it is truly worth celebrating Everett. It is so impressive to see how far Everett has come since kindergarten. It's been exciting to see his growth and to be able to more fully interact with Everett when he is in class. And this is our book of the year at Maple Glen. All of our teachers get a book every year, and so Everett will take home one. But one quote that comes from this book, Everett, that reminds me of you is to have faith, keep going, because you can be the difference. And I don't ever want you to forget that. All right, buddy? All right, big round of applause for Everett.
Next up, Monon Trail.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jeremy Marvel, the principal at Monon Trail, and I have Ariel Pillow, a second grade teacher there, and we're here to celebrate Caroline Hensley as our Student of the Month. So I remember last year, just a quick story, that in a couple meetings with her first grade teacher throughout the first month of school, she kept saying this girl's name, oh, Caroline Hensley, oh, Caroline can do this, oh, you should see Caroline and Caroline and Caroline. So finally, I was like, I gotta go down and see who this girl is. So met her in class one day. She probably doesn't remember it, just kind of introduced myself and then walked around and kind of observed other kiddos. And then did some observations of the teacher and definitely noticed that she stood out because the attentiveness, the following directions, everything was spot on and more of what Mrs. Sachs said. So I had to go back to Brittany and say, you know what? You were right. She's a rock star. So I want to have Mrs. Pillow share a little bit more about her.
I'm so excited to honor Caroline tonight, and I'll just read a few things that I wrote. Caroline is by far the most responsible student in my classroom. Caroline's always making good choices and leads by example for others. When I'm looking around the room for students who are meeting or often exceeding expectations, she's always the first student I could give a compliment to. She is dependable, organized, and is always prepared with what she needs for the school day and the lesson. She is also a very responsible citizen in our classroom by looking out for others, lending a helping hand, caring for her classmates, and finding ways that she can help our class strive for continuous growth. Caroline's truly a leader in our classroom and in our school community. And like Mr. Marvel said, she's a rock star, and I am so excited to celebrate her tonight as Student of the Month.
And when, kind of like Mrs. Fisher said at Maple Glen, when I put Caroline's name in the newsletter, she's like, oh, could I write something for her? So I said, of course you can. So I want to share what Mrs. Sachs said. Said, Caroline Hensley is not only a gem of a student, but she is a fantastic person. Caroline consistently goes above and beyond to meet the expectations set for her in the classroom and within the school community. She is hardworking, welcoming, respectful, and responsible. She works well with all peers and is always willing to lend a helping hand. I miss having her in my classroom every day, and I cannot wait to see the terrific human she will grow up to be. Congratulations, Caroline. And I did hear from one of her classmates when I was interviewing them that she likes to sing, so I don't know if you want to share that in front of that's what one of your friends said. So can you congratulate or help congratulate Caroline Hensley as our Student of the Month?
Next up, Westfield Intermediate School.
Good evening. My name is Lauren Kersey, and I have the pleasure of serving as an assistant principal at Westfield Intermediate School. And tonight we have the honor and privilege of celebrating Addison Simpson as our Student of the Month. And you know, when we enroll nearly 1,600 students in our building and you stand out as a superstar who leads by example and always doing the right thing, that's pretty special. So we're really proud of you. And I'm going to turn it over to her fifth grade teachers. We have Miss Stanfield here and Mrs. Lopez here to say a little bit more.
Hi, I'm Rachel Lopez. I'm Addison's math and science teacher, and this is Allegra Stanfield. She's her language arts and social studies teacher. I'm honored to be here tonight to speak about Addison's nomination for Westfield Intermediate School Student of the Month. Addison is a shining example of what it means to embody the values of our school. She reflects what it means to be a rock. She's consistently demonstrates kindness, compassion, and leadership in everything that she does. One moment that stands out was when Addison noticed a student crying at lunch because he felt alone and he didn't have any friends. Without hesitation, Addison took it upon herself to sit with him, offering comfort, support, and friendship. This act of kindness perfectly illustrates how deeply she cares about others and how she ensures everyone feels included. Addison works hard every single day at school, giving her absolute best in everything she does. She's incredibly intelligent, and she uses her knowledge to support not just her own growth and success, but also the growth and success of her classmates. Her thoughtful nature and genuine care ensures that everyone around her feels valued and cared for. Beyond her hard work and kindness, Addison's smile and joy light up every room she's in. Her positive energy is contagious, creating a welcoming and uplifting environment for everyone around her. Addison's exemplary behavior, dedication, and compassion make her a true role model in our building. She's an asset to our school community and the perfect candidate for Student of the Month. So congratulations, Addison.
Next up, Westfield Middle School.
Good evening. I'm Stacy Swan. I'm the principal at the middle school, and it is my honor and privilege to recognize Josh Masenke, who is our Student of the Month from the middle school, along with the intermediate school. It takes a lot to stand out with 1,600 students, and Josh here was recognized for communication. And as I'm thinking about Josh, I think about there are many ways to communicate, and he communicates joy and enthusiasm with his $1 million smile, and I do hope he shares it with you this evening. There you go. And I have Mrs. Lauren Smith with me, and she is one of Josh's teachers, and she wants to share what makes Josh so amazing. Is this your brother?
Yep. So I get the privilege of starting and ending my day with Josh, which is an amazing way to start my day. He always comes in with a smile, he's hardworking, he's respectful, and he's an enthusiastic learner. I have comments from all of Josh's teachers here, and I would be up here all night if I read all of them because they had lots of amazing things to say about him. But the words that kept sticking out to me is everybody talked about how motivated he was, how he's a leader in the classroom, how he's kind to others and engaged in class. Mrs. Swan came and visited my first period class to let them know that Josh had been selected as Student of the Month for our school, and she asked them, "Why do you think Josh was selected?" And the response from the whole class was, "He's a really good friend." So on top of being an amazing student, he's also an amazing friend, and I feel very lucky to be your teacher this year, Josh.
Let's celebrate Josh.
Just in case, Mr. President, I'm off, I can't make it. Come on, I got a new intern.
Right?
I want him to take it. Say that shit one more time. Come on. Yeah, he took my picture, so I know he can take mine. Come on. We want you to take the picture. No, we want him to take it. Yeah, take a picture of your brother. That's my new intern.
Love it. Next up, Westfield High School.
Good evening. My name is Alicia Deniston. I'm principal at the high school. And last but certainly not least tonight, I would like to present Andrew Westra to you. And out of 3,000, you are our choice for Student of the Month. And I also have in my hand many nominations from staff members, and I will share some of those with you tonight. But I always like to let our school board and our audience know a little bit about future plans, as Andrew is a senior and has been with us and accomplished so much. And so he has, sounds like an exciting decision ahead, has been accepted at Miami University of Ohio, also Marquette, looking to study business management, and so he has that decision to make. But he shared that a highlight of his time at Westfield High School was being a top 5 finalist in our pitch competition with entrepreneurship. And then also he has served as captain of our marching band and our winter winds for 2 years now. And many of the performing arts department rave about your leadership and your talent with band and your dedication. And then he's also an Eagle Scout, if we want to add on top of that, and has been involved in NHS and DECA. So there's lots of raving praise here, Andrew, but I'm going to share just a few of them that stood out. And one is you're interested in the area of business, and your ACP business teacher, Tracy Seelig, says this: in our ACP Intro to Business class, Andrew consistently demonstrates initiative and inspires his peers. Andrew actively participates in discussions, offering insightful contributions. Notably, he's effectively guided his team through critical stages of a business project, including concept development, market analysis, and strategic planning, showcasing his strong leadership and problem-solving skills. She considers you a promising young leader with a very bright future ahead. And then your counselor, Mrs. Johnston, says Andrew has been such a pleasure to work with throughout his time at WHS. He is truly a breath of fresh air, and he has an old soul as you're talking with him. I can tell he's truly thinking through all aspects of a situation when he's asking for guidance on his academics, his college planning, etc. He's an introspective thinker, a leader in the classroom and community, and very deserving of this award. And then your entrepreneurship teacher, and you mentioned that as a highlight. So our beloved John Moore says, I love this comment that he makes: Andrew is what is right with the world. What sticks out the most to me is his desire to give back to the community and make it a better place. He gives 100% at everything he does, and he leads his peers by example. And that really stands out to me, Andrew, that you're not only a role model when it comes to academic excellence, integrity, and character, but just you are inspiring the peers around you. So I appreciate you. I love having you at Westfield High School. I'm going to give you this to keep, as well as I've inscribed a little something in one of my favorite books by Angela Duckworth, Grit. And congratulations. Let's give Andrew a round of applause.
Congratulations to all the January students of the month. Students and their families are now invited to the lobby for refreshments and photographs. We'll resume the business portion of the meeting in 20 minutes. Sorry about that. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second. It has been moved and second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion or anybody have any questions? No further discussions. Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is passed. And now we go on to the next. We now welcome Matt Grossman from Meyer to share the construction update.
All right, good evening. Appreciate the opportunity to come here and update everyone on our projects and the progress we've made to date. You'll see here on the cover photo, that's a drone shot we actually took early December of the transportation facility before all the snow hit. I had a newer one, but that one kind of gives you a better overview of what's currently happening out there at transportation. First slide, continuation of the Westfield transportation. Work completed to date. Asphalt binder's been placed in the west and the south parking lots. The heavy-duty concrete at the new bus parking and the fuel station has been poured. As you saw in that prior slide, the bus canopies, the installation for that has started. Precast installation for Area B, which is the bus garage, has been installed, and structural steel and roof decking is nearly complete for that. On Area A, which is the office portion of the structure, drywall finishing will be complete hopefully into this week, with the exception of the larger training rooms where we're still working on some of the bulkheads in those areas, and then that will follow up with drywall in there as well. Wall tile installation, so some of the finishes have started. So wall tile installation started in the bathrooms. Area A mechanical installation on the ductwork, and then electrical wire pulling is ongoing. Exterior masonry on Area A, which is the office, is complete, so all the exterior veneer is done. And the contingency usage is rounded up, but it's just a little tick under 10% of that $113,000. The majority of that has been utilized for unforeseen conditions, unsuitable soils that we ran into out there on site. So part of the lime cement stabilization process. You'll see there in the top right picture, that's part of the drywall progress on the Area A in the offices, and then the bottom picture is the bus garage with the precast complete and the structural steel ongoing. And that was just my note on the contingency. And you can see in that picture that is part of one of the 3 bus canopies out in the parking lot. Work to complete in the next 60 days. We will really focus on finishes on Area A in the office. So ceiling grid installation will start. We will work on prime and first coat paint and finish the wall tile. Area A office area, we will install the sprinkler heads, grills, resistors, diffusers as part of the HVAC system. Area B, the structural steel will be complete, under slab rough-ins for all the floor drains, everything needed for the buses out there will be complete, and we will be pouring the slab on grade and pouring the topping slab for the mezzanine in that area. And last but not least, Area B will also then follow up with a mechanical ductwork and electrical wire pulling. And you can see the top right picture is looking from the east onto the bus garage portion of the building, and you can kind of see back there the bus parking where the canopies are installed on the far west side of the property. And the bottom right picture is the precast installation for the bus garage, which is Area B. Excuse me, Town Road and Citizens Westfield Utilities Project. Work completed to date. The full project has been publicly bid, with the last portion of that being the Citizens portion, which was the water and sanitary extension. The water will be extending from Ditch Road all the way to town and across the middle school property and up to transportation. And then sanitary will be tied in from just the west side of Little Eagle Creek and coming to transportation and then to the future middle school. Ongoing work, we are nearly complete working with Michael Pierce over there at Westfield on our permitting. Schmidt and Structure Point are working on the NDOT comments for the State Road 32 tie-in right-of-way work. We're nearing completion on that. So kind of some target dates as we work on our permits. I've noted there rough cut of the road through binder installation will be second quarter here of 2025. Could start a little sooner depending on weather, but looking at the forecast, that may not be too possible, but we'll keep an eye on that. State Road 32 work will then follow a little bit later, summer 2025 here, and then as we wrap up, finish mill repave of the NDOT intersection and the other parts of State Road 32 that we have tracking to be complete here, third quarter here of 2025. The Westfield Operations Building, which is the existing transportation facility, we did receive the full construction documents just before Christmas, and we have that now out to bid with the bid opening date of February 4th for the entire project. We did have an early package for that, which was the pre-engineered metal building, which is the warehouse. So when the existing facilities group and maintenance needs to be out of the old Tractor Supply by February of 26, that this all leads up to that, and that's why we had that early release package for the pre-engineered metal building, so that portion can be done because we cannot start on the existing facility until they move to the new transportation. So some sequencing and planning there with the documents, with the end goal of getting everybody out of the existing facility on time. Shamrock Station, work complete to date. Interior demolition is complete. I'm sure everyone else has seen the exterior. The north facade has been ripped off the building. It is now cleaned up and gone. You'll see there is some temporary shoring there to support the roof. Started on foundations here in the last week with new structural steel coming, and they had the note up there, structural steel coming here into February, first week of March. So that whole north elevation is really going to change and take shape here in the next couple weeks. Third bullet point there, Duke did complete the relocation of the transformer, moved it from the west side to the south, or to the east side of the building, and that did involve a shutdown of the middle school, which we coordinated with Brian and Luke, and they removed that feed from the middle school, so Duke is complete with their portion. Our BIM design and coordination of the MEPs is complete. Under slab plumbing rough-ins in the existing facility has started, and we actually had our inspections today for that, so we're looking to start pouring back those sections of slab. Ductwork installation started, as well as overhead electrical rough-in. Interior wall layout has started, and we actually started metal stud framing today, so that is moving well. Site layout for the new structure is complete, and as I noted just a few minutes ago, the foundations are starting on the north side for the addition. Made a note here, the contingency for the project's $489,000, some change there. We haven't used it yet, but we are tracking a couple unforeseen conditions. The existing library structure there on the northeast corner of the building has 16 broken trusses that need to be repaired. It's where the kitchen is, and gets a new rooftop unit, the new exhaust air, so we need to modify that, working with the structural engineer, make some revisions, added some steel, so we're tracking some costs for that. We were out there for a month and a half, not a single leak seen in the roof, but the wind blew the right way and it leaked like a sieve. And so we are exploring replacing that existing roof. We'll have a roofer come out once the snow's gone and do a survey of that. But we can kind of see from underneath, years past, there's some dark stained sheathing underneath where there's some evidence. So that may be a possibility for some new shingle roof there in the middle. And the existing fire sprinkler system is in pretty bad shape. Had some materials on it on the branch line that weren't quite up to par. So some existing conditions that once we did demo and uncovered, we're able to see some issues there, but working through those with the team. So Shamrock, next 60 days, we'll continue with the interior metal stud framing, steel installation, exterior wall framing on the new steel. MEP rough-ins will continue. We'll pour the slab on grade for the addition and start the utility work in the parking lot as the weather allows. So you can see there in the top right, that's a picture of the building being completely gutted, ready for all new construction. And then the bottom right's the picture of Duke wrapping up the relocation of the transformer there on the northeast corner. And that was a lot. That was it. But any questions or comments? Okay. All right. Thank you very
Yep,
much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time and
Yep. Thank you.
input. Okay, next on the business and operations, agenda is approval of weekly check runs. And Mr. Brian Michael will go over that with us.
Thank you. So normally we do this resolution during our budget adoption period, and we had it all wrapped in, but we, with everything else going on, just missed this piece. So back during 2020, we actually switched from doing check runs once a month that would then come to the board to get approved to weekly check runs. With everything going on during COVID, and really what we found during that time is it created a lot of efficiencies, so lowering our batch amounts, just being able to do everything a little bit faster on our end, and then also take advantage of some pay terms at certain points in time as being able to pay a little quicker. So this does not circumvent any of our approvals that we need through the board. All checks still come to the board for final approval. The smaller checks just simply have been already mailed out at that point. Any projects over $50,000 still have to come through the board for final approval. The only caveat to that would be as you approve some of these building projects, we do get larger bills, and since the project has already been approved and the bid's been approved, we will pay those ahead of time as well. But any new project or any new bid or anything that the board has not voted on before has to wait and come through the normal docket cycle. So we'd ask that the board approve us continue to do weekly check runs in 2025.
At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the ability to pay claims weekly through December 31st, 2025, as presented.
So moved.
There is so moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. It has been moved and second to approve the ability to pay claims weekly through December 31st, 2025. Is there any discussion? Anybody have any questions? No further discussions. Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The motion is passed. Thank you, Brian. We will return to you one more time for the Westfield High School yearbook overnight field trip.
So April 23rd through the 26th or 27th, the Westfield High School yearbook will be taking a trip out to Seattle, Washington to go to the National High School Journalism Convention in Seattle. So we would ask that the board approve the trip. The trip will be covered, cost is being covered by the students.
Thank you. Do we know how many students are going? And is this a yearly thing?
So I do not know how many students. Stacy, do you know how many students? No. So I don't know how many are in the yearbook club right now.
Okay.
I do believe this is the first time we've had this trip through the board, though. So I don't believe they go every year.
Okay. Okay, that's why I thought it was a couple of years ago we passed something, but at this time I will entertain a motion to approve the Westfield High School yearbook overnight field trip to Seattle, Washington, as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. It has been moved and second and approved to approve the Westfield High School yearbook overnight field trip to Seattle, Washington. Anybody have any questions, concerns?
I don't remember this ever coming through in the last 6 years, so this seems like a great way to recruit kids to the yearbook group.
Yeah.
So this is awesome.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, because that'd be a great field trip, for
Yeah.
sure.
I want to go.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The motion is passed. Thank you, Brian. For the first item on the curriculum portion of the agenda, we'll go to Dr. Atha for the revised 2025-26 school year calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Steele. Members of the board, as you know, we talked about before the new year that Live Golf is coming to the club at Chatham Hills in August, actually August 15th through the 17th. They're anticipating a big crowd, and Mayor Willis has talked to us about not having school on the 15th. We looked at the calendar, and we believe since we'll only be in school's 6 student days prior to that date, that an e-learning day probably would not be effective. And so this revised calendar is asking that we not have school on August 15th, Friday, August 15th. This does allow for Monon Trail and the Virginia F. Wood Early Learning Center to use that facility potentially for parking for the event, and maybe we can generate some revenue for the corporation. We still need to work through that. Then to make up that student day, what we're proposing is getting rid of the PD day in November, so that at the end of the first trimester, we would just have one work day, which would be for the secondary schools a work day, and then for K through 6, the parent conference day. And then we would relocate the PD day to September 24th. It's a Wednesday, as an e-learning day. The state does allow 3 asynchronous e-learning days. That would be, if you will, a double dip there, and so we'll need to provide time for teachers to put assignments in, so probably a couple hours. We'll still work out those details with our Teachers Association, probably do about 3 hours of PD at that time. And then it does then create an extra work day that we will relocate to the end of the calendar, which will come in handy at the end of the 25-26 school year, not only for some professional development, but also for teachers who may have to move classrooms. And that will be determined, but that teacher day probably will be flexible based on levels in schools. Certainly the high school won't need to have the same flexibility, so they'll probably use it in their departments and so forth, where we'll figure it out though. So that's kind of the revisions we're asking. So for parents and student days, no school on August 15th, and then that day would move to November, what is the November date? 6th. That Thursday we normally take off. It would be a single day. And then an e-learning day on September 24th. So we're proposing that the board, or we're asking the board to adopt this revision to the 25-26 calendar.
Very good. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the revision to the 25-26 calendar as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Has been moved and second to approve the revisions to the 2025-26 calendar. Anybody have any questions or concerns? So would we get paid for like parking if they're using that? How's that?
I'm hoping Brian works that out.
Or?
That is the discussion, yeah.
Okay.
We'll figure something out where it makes sense for all of us, whether that's a fundraiser for a sports team or directly for the foundation or for the school. We'll figure something out.
And with the city would like to utilize Monon Trail as a cart path, in and out. We're told they're going to use Grand Park for parking, so they're going to close down Tomlinson as well. And so it would just be very difficult for our buses and our families that live in this area.
Right.
So that's what, but then with this opening, and I actually believe with the work that's going on out here, that should be wrapped up and ready to go, so we can probably have access to the Monon Trail, so they'll be able to utilize that as well.
Do we have access now to the Monon from the softball fields or baseball fields?
I have access to Monon from the softball field, but I don't know if you're supposed to.
Right. I know
You're
there's
not.
a family over there.
Now we have that
Too,
on
with the
tape.
four-wheelers, but that's okay too. I won't rat them out because I would be one of them. Very good. It's been moved second. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion has passed.
One note, we will, I have sent an email to the board with the 26-27 draft calendar. So our hope is to adopt that next month, but as you review that, our principals and our Teachers Association are reviewing that as well. So we'll talk about that next month.
Very good. All right, thank you. We'll return to you for the 2025-2026 freshman course catalog agenda item.
Yes, so our school counseling department at Westfield High School is meeting with 8th grade students this week, but we had to pause on this freshman course catalog because the state updated the diploma requirements, and they didn't officially vote on those until December, and so we didn't want to rush it into the December board meeting. Those diploma requirements take effect for the current 8th graders, and so this course catalog reflects those changes. Freshmen never really have a lot of options, but there are some options that they do have in choices. There is flexibility here. Alicia Denniston has made a presentation to her staff, and so I think it would be wise for us to have a work session sometime soon so she could talk to the board about those diploma changes and bring her team over so we can go a little bit deeper. But this course catalog needs to be approved by the board or adopted by the board, as we had our first was a parent meeting, maybe it's last night or tonight. It's this week, isn't it? I think it was the 13th. Okay. Yeah. But what we said was, we told them that the board still need to approve this course catalog, and that if there were any changes, we'd let them know. But we needed to get started because the school counseling team needs to start getting that schedule going for the fall. So we would recommend that the board approve this course catalog. Our school counseling team at the high school does an amazing job, and they're very detail oriented. If there are any questions, I'll try to answer them, but it's pretty straightforward.
This is something the state is this something the state does every 4 years, every 2 years, or just when they
No,
get
the state would tell you they haven't done it forever. I think 100 years is they have made diploma changes, but the type of diploma changes they made this time around was a pretty big revamp. And so there are some, I think, still questions that many corporations have. But we're easing into it. Our goal is to continue for our kiddos in the high school to stay the course. I would argue, or I would suggest that we'll stay the course. We've had a lot of success at our high school, but we will take advantage of any flexibility this offers us for any students who may need it. It does incorporate some flexibility for more of our work-based learning opportunities and some CTE things. But obviously, for our kiddos who are going to college, we want to stay the course with the success we've had with those students.
Very good. At this time, I entertain a motion to approve the 2025-26 freshman course catalog as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second? It has been moved and seconded to approve the 2025-26 freshman catalog. Is there any discussion? Any other further discussion, I should say? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The motion is passed. The next item for Dr. Atha on the curriculum agenda is the attendance officer appointment.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Still, members of the board. We were made aware recently of this Indiana code that is new. I think it was the Hamilton County superintendents were discussing it, and so Dr. Kaiser brought it to us. And it basically, every school corporation, over 7,500 students, need to have an attendance officer. If the board does not appoint one, then the superintendent is that person, and then he can have a designee. But the reason to appoint an attendance officer is the code actually says the county council is supposed to pay for the attendance officer. And now we're not sure. I think we're still looking into whether they've appropriated any money for that to happen. But if we officially appoint or the board officially appoints an attendance officer, then we'll begin the process of trying to see if we can recoup some of the salary. And so in our district, Denver Wade, assistant principal at Westfield High School, is attendance guru, and he knows all things attendance and actually has done a lot of work for all principals and setting some guidelines in place. And so our recommendation is that we officially, and I've talked to Denver, he would welcome this opportunity. We officially appoint him as our attendance officer for Westfield Washington Schools.
All right, at this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Denver Wade as a Westfield Washington School Attendance Officer as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second has been moved and second to approve the appointment of Denver Wade as a Westfield Washington School Attendance Officer. Any questions or discussions? Will we lose Denver as an assistant?
No, it's part of his duties, so it's just...
Okay. What is the role, just so everybody out there in the web knows the role of an attendance officer?
Well, it's to make sure that we're following the state law and Indiana code around attendance, and then to also make sure we have a list here we can share with the board of duties. But as I talked to it with Denver, he said, well, I'm kind of doing all these anyway. And so it just made sense. And they're very practical steps to ensure that kids, all students are meeting Indiana law or in school every day. And if they're not, there's certain reporting things that have to happen. Just in the past 2 weeks before break and after break, I've had 3 conversations with Mr. Wade about attendance issues. And in both of those conversations, he's reached out to the prosecutor's office and to the IDOE to make sure that we're following protocol from both those organizations on what we should do. And these are cases where students aren't coming to school, and we're trying to work with the families to help them. Obviously, the high school has a great, so Tier 1 instruction is the core instruction. The high school actually says Tier 0 is attendance. If you don't come to school, we can't teach you. So that comes before anything. And so Denver over the last couple of years has done an amazing job addressing attendance issues, supporting families, and helping us improve our attendance rate and getting our students to school. And he's worked with a couple of our elementary schools as well, and families and principals, just some of the things that he's implemented. If you don't know, every trimester I have a junior at the high school, and some of you, we get a report on how many days, the percentage, and I always look at it and I think, but it feels pretty good to see, hey, my kid's in school. And so that's just a positive feedback thing that Denver implemented that he'd learned. And the first time we did that, he sends it electronically now, but he really asked us, and we put a little money into it. We sent those via snail mail because that was the recommendation. It would be more powerful to receive it in the mail. And so he wanted to do that just one time. We did. Now we send it electronically.
Very good. And he'll be in charge of all the schools then, as far as helping out with the attendance and following up on
Yeah, and he's doing that right now. We have a representative from each school, and so Denver meets with them 2 or 3 times a year just to make sure if there are any changes, updates. If he learns anything in all those conversations, he incorporates that into our guidelines. Recently, at one of our meetings, he talked a little bit about because we have a diverse student body, sometimes we have families whose families live outside the country and they need to return home, and how's the best way to handle that, both from a legal standpoint, but supporting the families. And so Denver worked with the principals to kind of say, here's how we're going to handle this in Westfield, Washington. So, and then just keeps us all consistent.
Very good. Any other questions? Sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Up next is the permission to dispose of the obsolete Westfield Middle School, thank you, library books and accept donation books.
Okay, so we have two things here. We have a list of books that have not been checked out in the middle school for at least 2 years, some of them longer, some of them are damaged. And so we call those obsolete textbooks, or excuse me, library books. And so Farrah Williams has presented this list. We do this with, the board has done this several times since I've been here. A typical collection in one of our schools is over 10,000 library books. And so we're constantly adding new libraries, books, so we have to thin out the ones that aren't being checked out are no longer usable. And so they will try to repurpose any books that we take off the shelf. There's places she has that she can donate them if they want them, and if they're not usable, then we'll just recycle them. There's also a list of books. So I've learned recently that, and this happens, I think, across our district, but people just donate books. They drop them off. Sometimes we don't even know where they come from, and they drop them off the main office. And so we also have a list of books that we think are good books. There are some in this series that we would like the board, because we didn't purchase them, accept them as a donation. We have vetted that list, and then we can put them in our system and put them out for students to check out. So there's a list that there of donated books that we're asking the board to approve. So there's two lists, one obsolete and then one donated books. We put that together, if that's okay. You can take it, if you want to take it as two separate motions, you can, but you can, if the board chooses, or if you choose, Mike, you can take it as one motion.
We'll take it as one motion.
Okay.
At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the disposal of the absolute Westfield Middle School library books and the acceptance of donation books as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second? It has been moved and seconded to approve the disposal of the absolute books from the Westfield Middle School Library and acceptance of the donated books. Anybody have any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion is passed. And to wrap up the curriculum part of the agenda, we were now here to curriculum update from Dr. Atha.
Okay, I'll try to go very quickly. So today we had our fourth new educator academy meeting today. It was entitled Mid-Flight Corrections, and so that continues to be something that we focus on with our teachers new to our district to continue to support them in the transition either to the profession and into our district. This semester, we're starting at Westfield High School, our English language arts reviews and our math reviews. So we have teams in both departments that are doing some study of best practice and looking for a resource that is research-based, and it's a high-quality resource that then provides an entry point for our teachers in the PLC process. It's not the adopted curriculum, it's a tool to help them teach the essential standards for their courses. And so that's beginning, really focused in those two areas. And then that would kind of complete Dr. Hoover's updating of our core resources in math and English language arts when we get through that, and we hope to have that completed by the end of the school year. We have mid-year DIBELS testing that's happened. Remember, that is our formative assessment from Amplify with our new adoption of our core resource there. As that data comes in, we continue to see positive impact. So our hope is sometime at the end of this year in the summer, maybe we can have Carmen Carnes make a presentation on the impact that we're seeing, very positive results across our district in the area of English language arts, also mathematics, but we have a year under our belt there. Today, all our principals were at the Westfield Washington Library for this second required behavioral threat assessment training in our district. So earlier in the year, our counselors and APs were trained, and principals and a few more district folks and other districts were there as well. But this is a required training for our administrators and school counselors out on the front line. It's really to go through a process when we have situations where there might be a threat or behavioral issues, to make sure we're asking and digging deep enough in to make sure we're supporting all children and not only supporting them when they might be struggling, but also supporting them in ensuring we keep kiddos safe. And so I was there today, and it's just a very intense, but also wealth of information. Really challenges a lot of assumptions we have in that area and how we've handled it in the past, and taking data and best practice and putting it into action with your teams and your schools to ensure that every time there's an incident where there might be a threat, that we're really digging deep into that so that we're understanding what's causing that, how we can support that, and how we can mitigate any risk. So that happened today. I want to thank Kyle Miller, because he put that all together. Again, other districts in Hamilton County participated in that as well. And then finally, WIDA testing for our multilingual students began this week, and so it continues on through the end of February. Last thing, or two things, I mentioned the new diploma requirements, and Mrs. Denniston has a slideshow and a video that she did for the high school. I'm going to share that with the board this evening, so look for that. And then, I think we need to have her come in with her team and make a presentation and let you ask questions. And then also, the high school is just beginning a task force on looking at schedules. So with the new diploma, there is some flexibility. We want to make sure we're going to study our current schedule and pro and con that, and look at other schedules. So this will be a study. What I do want the board to know is, while the trimester schedule is an amazing schedule, there's probably no one who promotes it more than me. It also can be inefficient. And so as we grow, it's to do our due diligence, we need to pause with the new diploma and where we are at 3,000 students, saying, okay, is this still the schedule we need as we move into the future? I will, as this comes together, I will share ongoing information with the board, who's part of the team. Alicia, they'll take minutes, so we'll keep you in the loop as this goes on. This is not something that's going to be a 2-week. It'll go into next school year, this semester, or this half of the year, and it'll probably take a year is what she anticipates. The goal then would be, if there's any changes, that they can implement those this time next year and plan for it in our course catalog and course offerings. So I just want to let you know, again, I'll send some information out on that as well. And then finally, Carrie, welcome aboard. I sent you an invite. You are officially now part of the curriculum team, and we had some meetings scheduled. If those don't work for you, just let us know, and we can be flexible. Amber's on that team as well. They're already on her calendar, so I removed Jimmy and added you. So if we need to adjust those dates, just let us know. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Atha. Now we're turning to Ashley for the Communications and Community Engagement Update.
Thank you. We'll start off with tomorrow night, we're hosting a job fair at the high school for anyone who wants to come and join the Westfield family through various jobs throughout the district. So that'll be held by Chase Stinson and Chris Baldwin and his team. So we invite anyone to join us between 5 and 7. You can enter through door 1. The Education Foundation would like to welcome our new annual package partners. We acknowledge some at the December meeting, but KRM, Hagerman, and KGR have also joined us in that partnership throughout the year. We're preparing for our 8th annual Top Golf event, which is always one of our big highlights of the year. On March 2nd, it's at Top Golf from 2 to 5, and sponsorships will open this week for anyone and anybody who would like to just come and enjoy us. It's a really fun event. On January 25th, we are planning an alumni community event at the high school. It'll be at 4 o'clock, and you can come have spaghetti dinner for $5, play free bingo, and you might win a signed basketball by alumni Braden Smith. You have to come to the game to potentially get to take home the ball, but it's just a fun family, continuing to build those opportunities to be with everybody. On February 19th, we're hosting Strong Minds, Strong Choices, supporting your student success. We'll talk about healthy relationships, executive functioning, and even managing anxiety, ADHD, and building coping skills. We have the keynote speakers are Kristen and Chris Ballard, so they will host the event. Josh Miracle will bring his mentors, and student leaders will come and host a panel so parents can hear from students what they would suggest and what some of the best advice that they can pass down. So we thought that that would be really heartfelt. David Ranch is a professor from Purdue. He teaches executive communication at Purdue, and he will come host a session that will break off. And Kyle Miller will host a session, and then we have a third one that will be out there. Tomorrow we're excited to host the first Shamrock Academy for 2025, and Dr. Atha and Dr. Hoover will lead curriculum and sharing curriculum, instruction and learning. And then HR will come again and share some human resources and what it takes to staff our buildings across the district and ensure that everybody has what they need. So it'll be a great year. Our community engagement team is already working on 2025-26 school year and what can we do to prepare the doors for that. Kindergarten registration will open at the end of February is our current plan right now. And that's all.
Thank you, Ashley. We're now asked the board members and Dr. Kaiser to share any success stories that in the past month that they may have had.
I'll go at the end.
I want to welcome Carrie to the team. So, success, yes. So, thank you.
I'll just
for
say
running.
a very good holiday season with the family and back at it now.
Dinner, but Ashley already did that. So alumni, Mike, bring your friends.
Yes.
It'll be fun.
Both of them.
Yeah. And it is homecoming, so the kids will be dressed up for the homecoming winter formal that night also.
Well, this is Board Appreciation Month by the Indiana School Board Association. And, you know, I've been doing this for 44 years and just at various districts. And the value of a school board that's rock solid together, working together, is so critical. I mentor superintendents all over the state, and they don't have the privilege that we have here to have such a great group of people that, you know, we think, we talk, we work together, and we come up with solutions. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you. And so we have a nice plaque for each of you, and I'll read Mike's. So he's my left. And Stacy, thank you so much for putting this together. Westfield Washington Schools, the Indiana School Board Association are pleased to recognize the extraordinary school board service of Mike Steele and the other 4 board members. Your commitment to excellence has truly been inspiring. Thank you for making a difference for our students, schools, and our community. So I truly appreciate what you do, and most people have no idea the hours that you spend outside of these board meetings from extra meetings and just reading all the materials, and especially over the last 3 years with COVID and building projects, and I just want to tell you how much I truly appreciate you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And one last one. I just want to give a special shout out to Stacy. And if you saw how seriously she takes these board meetings, and she wants them perfect, and everything that she does, she's Brian's right-hand person on all the bond issues and all the legal things we do. Again, she's just a superstar, and I just want to recognize her publicly for everything she does for our school district and the school board and the community as a whole. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Stacy. I second that with the reading and everything else that you do. All right, our next board meeting will be held February 11th at 6:30 here in this room. Please note that at the conclusion of tonight's regular board meeting, we will have a board finance meeting as required by law. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Second? So adjourned. So, let me go to that. Mike. How do I, where do? Since we have a quorum, I will now call the Board of Finance meeting to order. This meeting is advertised in accordance with open door law. The Board of Finance can conduct the following business at its annual meeting. The board must elect the president and secretary. The board must review a written report and summarization investments made by the school corporation during the 2024 calendar year. The written report must be prepared by the investment officer. The board must review the overall investment policy of the school corporation. The board must receive and review a written report of the financial conditions of the school corporation. This report must be given to the superintendent or the superintendent's designee. In reporting to the school's corporation financial condition, the superintendent must use the financial qualitatives indicators to determine under IC 20-19-7-4 by the fiscal and qualitative indicators of the committee. The next item, or do I need to motion the Board of Trustees or Board of Finance officers? The next item on the agenda, the recommendation of officers, as stated earlier, the board must elect the president and secretary. At this time, I will entertain a motion to have the Board of School Trustees serve as a whole on the Board of Finance, with officers serving in the same roles as elected on the Board of School Trustees.
So moved.
Is there a second? It has been moved in second to have the Board of School Trustees serve as a whole on the Board of Finance and officers serving in the same role as elected on the Board of School Trustees. Is there any discussion and/or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Are opposed? The motion is passed. Now I invite Brian Michael to review the investing officer's report, corporation investment policies, financial indicators in the school corporation, of the school corporation.
All right, so we will start with the investment report. So we have two main bank accounts with Westfield Washington Schools. Our main checking account is really through Huntington Bank. That's where all of our checks process through. And then we use Trust Indiana as really our main savings account and transfer our dollars back and forth. Trust Indiana is more of a state bank, also has much larger interest rates, so we can increase our savings on that. So as we look in total between those two banks for the year, you'll see we had just over $10,000 in banking service charges, but we had $862,000 in interest for the year. So happy to answer any questions, but that is our investment report.
All right. Any questions, discussions? All right, with no further business, can I have a motion to adjourn the Board of Finance meeting?
Hold hold on, we still got, sorry.
Oh, sorry, I missed.
I'll just go ahead and do all the others.
Yep, please. Sorry about that, Brian.
So that was the investing officer's report, and then corporation investment policy is the next item. Our corporation investment policy has been the same for a long time. It is really outlined and governed by both state and federal laws as to what we can invest in and what we can't invest in, which is primarily why we use Trust Indiana, because it fits all the guidelines. And really liquidity, we cannot take risk on our investments. Everything has to be very liquid and basically no risk at all as we go through. So we cannot invest in the stock market to get a bigger return. It's really money market funds or savings accounts. And due to the fluctuation of our expenses and our construction projects, we do not do any long-term CDs. We purely keep it in a high-yield savings fund that allows us to transfer back and forth to Huntington when needed. But that fits into the policy. The policy has not changed from prior years. They are in our board packet and board policies that have been approved by the board in prior years. Any questions on that one?
Nope, and this all includes our rainy day fund and all that good stuff?
Yeah, it's all. And honestly, the reason why we get so much interest income right now is as we're doing these projects, we have several million in the bank that we would not normally have as we have some of the project funds on hand. So as we go into future years, I would expect, honestly, our interest revenue to decrease unless rates just, went crazy out of the market, which would not be good for other reasons. But as we finish our projects, our capital or project cash will decrease as we finish those projects, and then we will have less money in the bank, and we would expect to see our actual interest income decrease over the next several years.
Very good.
All right. And then finally, to meet the last kind of guideline on, to meet the last requirement is every year, DUAB, or Distress Student Appeal Board, puts out fiscal indicators for all school districts across the state. As we go through this every year, I always tell the board, it's great data and it looks pretty, but it is a 1.5 old data. So if you're making decisions based on what we talk about tonight, then we're behind on where we should be, and it really doesn't serve the purpose that it should. And a lot of that's really because, at the end of January, we will submit our Form 9 data, or what is basically our fiscal report, to the state for the prior or last 6 months of 2024. And until they have that data, they can't accumulate all their data, and then they don't put out their final report really till November of 25 on the 24 data. So the data is always old, so we'll walk through it as required by the state. However, this is why we have the Finance Committee meetings, so we can have accurate, timely conversations and not talk about data that is older. So the first slide is a perfect example. It shows our enrollment for last year at 9,600 students. This year we know we are already over 10,000 kids. So it just really gets into where we are as a district and kind of timeliness of the data as we go through it. Next slide is really enrollment. As we know, we're growing quickly each year. You'll see 2021-22, that is kind of that weird kind of back virtual COVID year of hybrid, and that's why you see that little thin sliver of yellow up there when we had a few virtual kids, and then that is the only time you'll see yellow on our sheet. Next slide is really looking at cash balances. Over the years, where this gets kind of skewed, and if you get onto the actual website, you can click on what funds you want to see, so you can narrow it down and look at only certain funds. But the giant spike in the middle is actually when we did the natatorium project. So we brought in about $16 million that year, all on our books. So it created a huge fund, which then skews all of your other bars in there and makes it kind of weird to look at. So if you ever do want to go to the website, click off of the capital funds, and then it will show you everything without our projects on our books and go through it. When you look at some years, you will see some bars in even 22, 23 that look like they go negative. And most of those are going to be your state and federal grants. Most of our grants are reimbursement grants, so we spend the funds before we can receive the revenue back. So there are time frames where those do go negative until we get our reimbursements back from either state or federal agencies. As you go to the next fund, is surplus deficit. You'll see the last 3 years we've run a small surplus as we go through it. I will tell you again, this can be a little skewed as you look at, we've had a lot of capital funds coming on hand as we've done these projects. So again, when you look in totality and it looks like a deficit or surplus every year, when we look at our true operating funds, as we've talked in the Finance Committee, those are very, very, very tight as we go through it. And it's really as we look at some of the state changes and legislation that's put more constraints, as we talked about during the budget presentation, those do not necessarily show here when you look at all the funds lumped together. But that does continue the conversation that we need to have of just where are we going with some of our reserves, which is the next page as you look through it. So if you look the last 3 years, while we have shown a surplus every year, our cash reserves have stayed roughly balanced. And as our budget gets larger every year as we continue to grow, when you're looking at a percentage, that means that same balance or budget or same cash balance on a larger budget becomes less and less every year. So realistically, as we look to move forward, we need to start increasing that cash balance to keep our level of reserves equally as high as we move forward. It's not about just keeping them the same, because as we continue to grow, as it shows here, that becomes less and less of a total budget. Next one is all revenue. So the very top kind of gold bar here are federal grants. The blue is your education fund. Your kind of purple there are going to be your state grants. That green in the center, and you can kind of see it ebb and flow, those are your capital funds. So you can see we kind of had a spike of where we did some projects, and then you're growing again as we come into the new projects. Those are not all funds that are for the projects. When we do a GO bond, those funds come into our books. And then when we do the lease projects, the way the lease debt is structured, we receive a little bit of it based on the value of the land, but we are not receiving all $300 million on our books. Bank of New York Mellon actually holds most of those funds, and they're technically controlled under the Building Corp, which is approved when we go through that process. So that's why that green bar kind of ebb and flows as we finish a project, then we get a little bit. So that really over the next 2 years, you'll see it grow a little bit more next year since we brought more debt on this year for the projects. And then as you were to extrapolate this out over the next kind of 4 or 5 years, you would see it go back down as we finish those projects. And then the final two on that, the light blue is your operating referendum, and then the bottom kind of pink is your property tax funds, so really your debt service and then your operations fund. The second to last one here, or actually this is the last one, is your operating referendum fund, the blue bar. So you're seeing that the operating referendum fund is growing every year. If you remember, as we talked during budget presentations, other things, we did have legislative caps put on our operating referendum fund. So while it is growing, it is not growing at the rate of Westfield. It is not growing at the rate of our students. So if you look at the orange bar, kind of the last year, or the orange line over the last year or two, you'll see it's starting to go back down. And really what that is as we continue to grow rapidly as a district and we have caps put on us that restrict our growth of total funds that can't match that growth, the orange line is representing basically the percentage that the operating referendum is of our total budget. So while that bar can grow a little bit, and on paper that looks good, the orange line is a better representation of it is not keeping up with our overall growth. So that's why those are going in 2 different directions, really, as you look over that. So those are the fiscal indicators that the state requires us to talk about every year, at least once during this meeting. So we have checked that box with the state and met their guidelines. But again, that is all 2023 data. We are clearly in January of 2025. So while they're out there and they're good to look at and you can play with them and kind of see, you need to remember we've already functioned through a year after that data as well. So it is not really actionable data, which is, I've always seen to be the problem with it. It's really the conversations we're having in the Finance Committee and the board and on the budget that are more actionable. So happy to answer any questions about all that, but that completes all the pieces that are required under the Finance Committee.
Any questions? Thank you, Brian. With no further business, can I have a motion to adjourn the Board of Finance meeting? Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Stacy, thank you. And we are good.